The year is 2025, and Donald J. Trump is once again President of the United States. After a polarizing campaign, mass protests, and a highly contested election, Trump has returned to the White House for a second term. But what does that mean for the rest of the world? Is America truly leading again? Or has the global order been thrown into even greater disarray? In this video, we explore the state of the world under Donald Trump. What's changed, what's breaking, and what might come next? Global diplomacy and America first. Donald Trump's second term has seen a full-throttle return to his America first foreign policy, this time with even fewer filters. Almost immediately after his inauguration, Trump moved to formally withdraw the U.S. from international institutions he had long criticized, including the World Health Organization, the United Nations Human Rights Council, and even key agencies tied to the Paris Climate Agreement, which he re-exited with a sweeping executive order. Foreign aid spending was slashed dramatically. USAID, the U.S. government's primary foreign assistance program, saw its budget cut by over 90%. According to State Department sources, many diplomatic missions were either closed or left severely understaffed, especially in Africa and Southeast Asia. Trump argued that the U.S. was no longer going to fund what he called global freeloaders, insisting other nations must carry their own weight. This pullback from the world stage created a vacuum, one quickly filled by other powers. China rapidly stepped in, expanding its Belt and Road Initiative and increasing soft power investments in Africa, Latin America, and parts of Europe. For many analysts, Trump's isolationism is not just about sovereignty. It's about abandoning the long-held U.S. role as a stabilizing force in global governance. Trade wars and economic realignment. If you thought the first Trump term's trade wars were intense, his second term escalated them to a whole new level. In March 2025, Trump enacted a sweeping 10% baseline tariff on nearly all imports into the United States. Countries running trade deficits with the U.S. were hit even harder, with some facing tariffs as high as 35%. China, Germany, Mexico, and South Korea were among the biggest targets. These moves ignited tit-for-tat trade responses around the globe. The World Bank issued a bleak outlook, projecting global growth for 2025 at just 2.3%, the slowest rate in over 6 decades. Developing economies reliant on U.S. markets were hit especially hard, with job losses mounting and investment shrinking. Meanwhile, American consumers began feeling the sting of rising prices, particularly on electronics, cars, and food products. Inside the U.S., some praised the protectionist pivot as a way to revive domestic manufacturing. But many small and mid-sized businesses struggled with soaring input costs and disrupted supply chains. The promise to bring back jobs came with a heavy economic cost, one the global economy is still struggling to absorb. Military realignments and shifting alliances. Another major front in Trump's second term is the military. He's pushed U.S. allies in NATO to spend a minimum of 5% of their GDP on defense, threatening to pull American troops from Europe if they fail to comply. The message is clear: the U.S. will no longer be the world's security nanny. Trump's skepticism of traditional alliances extended to the AUKUS agreement between the U.S., the U.K., and Australia, which he has placed under review. This has sent shockwaves throughout the Indo-Pacific, where China's military expansion is accelerating. With the U.S. pulling back, countries like Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan are scrambling to bolster their own defenses. At the same time, Trump has made no secret of his admiration for authoritarian strongmen. His relationships with Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and even Iran's hardliners have raised eyebrows. The so-called CRINCs, China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, have formed an increasingly coordinated bloc, prompting fears of a new Cold War dynamic. Domestic power consolidation. On the home front, Trump has taken several controversial steps that critics call authoritarian. After mass protests over immigration and law enforcement policies in early 2025, Trump deployed the National Guard and active duty military personnel to multiple U.S. cities, often without governors' consent. He cited vague national emergency powers and framed the unrest as an insurrection. Multiple civil liberties organizations, including the ACLU, have raised alarm bells. Trump's executive orders are increasingly bypassing congressional oversight, and federal agencies are being stacked with loyalists. Journalists covering protests have reported being harassed, detained, or barred from press briefings altogether. In some circles, this is viewed as Trump restoring law and order. But others see it as a dangerous erosion of democratic norms. The U.S. now ranks lower than ever in global democracy indices, and trust in its institutions, both at home and abroad, continues to erode. Public opinion and global perception. Internationally, the perception of America under Trump is deeply fractured. A Pew Research Center survey conducted shortly after Trump's second inauguration found that in 19 out of 24 surveyed countries, majorities expressed no confidence in his leadership. The dominant descriptors were arrogant, dangerous, and unpredictable. Even traditional allies like Canada, the UK, Germany, and France have begun seeking alternative partnerships, often leaning more toward the European Union or even China for long-term cooperation. Meanwhile, Trump enjoys continued support from populist movements and right-wing leaders in countries like Hungary, Brazil, and Italy. Trump often touts these relationships as proof of his global influence. But in practice, America's traditional soft power has taken a serious hit. Fewer international students are applying to U.S. universities. Foreign tourism is down, and faith in American democratic values is weakening. Climate policy and global health. Assembling a national energy emergency, Trump reversed clean energy policies and abandoned key climate finance commitments. He pulled funding from global health mechanisms, including WHO and PEPFAR, raising alarm among health advocates. Middle East policy and immigration. Trump's second-term foreign policy in the Middle East is defined by confrontation. His support for a controversial plan to take control of Gaza and forcibly relocate Palestinian populations has been condemned by nearly every major international body. Arab nations, including U.S. allies like Jordan and Egypt, have warned that the region is closer to war than it has been in decades. On immigration, Trump has gone even further than in his first term. Asylum programs have been gutted, refugee caps are near zero, and ICE enforcement has expanded dramatically. While border crossings are down, humanitarian organizations warn of a worsening crisis in Latin America. With the U.S. cutting off aid and increasing deportations, some migrants are being forced back into failed states with no support. This zero-tolerance policy may play well with Trump's base, but the long-term diplomatic and humanitarian consequences are mounting rapidly. So, what's the global picture under Donald Trump's second presidency? America is more isolated, alliances are fraying, and authoritarian regimes are emboldened. The global economy is unstable, civil liberties are under threat, and confidence in U.S. leadership is at historic lows. Whether you view these changes as long overdue corrections or dangerous departures from democratic norms, one thing is clear. The world under Donald Trump is more divided, more volatile, and more uncertain than ever before. If you found this breakdown insightful, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future uploads. Drop a comment below. What's the most concerning global change you've seen in Trump's second term? Thanks for watching.